There's something about the mountains at night that strips away your certainty. The trees get too close, the dark gets too dark, and sounds that you'd normally explain away in your living room start to feel like they mean something. This is a story told to us by a couple, we'll call them Ray and Dana, who live at the foothills of the Sierra Nevada range in northern Nevada. It's the kind of country where on a clear night the stars look close enough to touch, where dirt roads branch off the main road like capillaries, leading deeper and deeper into forests that most people never see. Ray and Dana had spent years looking at those mountains from their kitchen window. They knew the trails. They'd camped up there before, years back. So when they drove off the lot in a brand new 4x4, big, capable, built for exactly this kind of terrain, the first thing they talked about was taking it up into the woods. They picked a Friday night. That, in hindsight, was the first decision they'd come to question. They packed the way people pack when they know what they're doing: food, water, firewood, and a bucket of sand to smother it before bed. Flashlights, good ones. They planned to find a clearing they liked, pull off the road, and sleep in the back of the truck under a sky full of stars. Simple, easy, familiar. They left after sundown, which felt fine. They'd been up that way before. The road to Dog Valley was one they knew, or so they thought. The further they drove, the more the landscape felt edited. Not dramatically different, just subtly wrong. Overgrowth had swallowed the shoulders of roads they remembered as clear. Fences stood in places where there hadn't been fences. And then there were the new roads, dirt cuts slicing off into the tree line, heading somewhere, heading nowhere. Roads that looked used but went unexplained. Dana mentioned it first.
Does this look right to you?
Ray told her it had just been a couple of years. Things change. They kept driving. The intersection that marked the turn toward Dog Valley came up in the headlights the way intersections do in the mountains. Sudden, no warning, all shadow until you're right on top of it. Ray eased the truck to a stop. And standing at the center of that crossing, perfectly still, was a fawn. Not a doe, not a buck, a fawn, young, slight, alone. Now here's what you need to understand about deer. When headlights find them, they freeze, that's well known. But they freeze in a particular way. Their whole body goes rigid. Their head turns sideways. You see the flank, the profile, one wide dark eye catching the light and going bright as a mirror. This fawn did not do that. It turned to face them. Dead on, full forward, ears high, standing in the wash of the headlights like it had been waiting. And both eyes were visible, staring straight at them, set forward in the skull, the way the eyes of a predator are set, forward-facing, tracking, calculating depth and distance. And the eyes did not glow in the headlights like most animals do. They were dark, light-absorbing almost. Deer do not have eyes like that. Dana said it felt less like being watched by an animal and more like being studied. Not with fear, not with surprise, more like mild disapproval. Like something that had been here long before them was looking at the couple the way you look at a stranger who has walked into the wrong room. A look like, "What are you doing here?" Ray inched the truck forward. The fawn didn't move. He eased the horn, one short blast, the kind that should send any wild animal scrambling into the brush. The fawn blinked. It stepped aside, slowly, reluctantly, and as the truck rolled past, just inches away, it turned its head and held them in that forward-facing gaze, tracking them the way a security camera tracks. It never ran, it never flinched. It stood in the road behind them and watched them go. Ray looked in the rearview mirror. He didn't mention to Dana what he saw, or rather, what he didn't see, until much later. In the mirror, with the taillights painting the intersection red, there was nothing there. The fawn had completely vanished. They drove on, and somewhere in the next mile or two, something changed that neither of them could fully articulate. The road felt wrong. Not unfamiliar wrong the way the earlier part had. This was different. The trees pressed closer. The darkness between them had a quality to it, a density. The road itself had deteriorated, rutted, rocky, the kind of surface that makes a truck work for every foot of forward progress. Ray said later that he kept meaning to turn around but felt, somehow, like he hadn't found a good enough reason yet, like part of him needed permission. He got it. The sound came from underneath the truck, a sharp, hard snap, and then the Suburban lurched, and then the wheels locked in place. The vehicle was running but would not drive forward, as though it wasn't in gear. Ray got out, crouched down, pulled out a flashlight. The muffler and its harness were on the ground, in the dirt beneath the truck. Ray noticed the piece of one of the main support bolts in the dirt. This massive bolt, an inch in diameter and brand new, looked as though it had been pulled apart from the other half. The end of the steel bolt had a warped protrusion that looked like it had failed a tensile strength test performed by the Hulk. The broken bolt did not make sense for the kind of stress it would take to break it in that way, especially there on the muffler, not the wheels or driveline even. Ray felt very uncomfortable with the logic of the situation. He kept that observation to himself. He had a multi-tool and enough mechanical sense to fashion a temporary fix, not good enough to push the truck hard, but enough, hopefully, to limp back to the main road. He climbed back in. Dana hadn't said much. She'd been watching the tree line the whole time he was under the truck. She said,
"There's something out there."
"It's the woods,"
he told her.
"There's lots of things out there."
He started the engine, turned the truck around, and they began the slow crawl home. They crossed back through the intersection where they had seen the fawn. There was no sign of it now. As they came to a small clearing in the trees, Ray decided to let the truck rest for a moment and take the opportunity to take in the beautiful night they had been too distracted to notice. The night sky was a deep sapphire blue, marked with glittering pinpoints of light, and the white glow from the moon set behind silhouettes from the trees. The night's luminaries seemed to light up the small clearing they had parked in. They could see every detail up until the eventual tree line. It was breathtaking. and dead quiet. Not even a breeze whispered through the pines. Nothing. Ray and Dana slowly scanned the muted landscape. There was a loud bang on the outside of Dana's door. Then another hard-sounding hit that came from underneath Dana's feet. Two intentional and methodical strikes to the outside of the vehicle next to Dana. She swore it sounded just like someone hitting the truck with a metal baseball bat, even though there was nothing they could see outside, and there was no visible damage to the truck. Dana said later that what she remembered most was the interval between them. The pause, like someone making a point. 1. Breath. 2. Ray started the truck. He did not stop again until they hit asphalt. The drive home should have been the end of it. And if you've ever had a night like this, a night where the strange things happen in clusters, you know how badly you want the familiar road to mean you're done. That the asphalt is the boundary. That whatever belongs to the dark up there stays up there. It doesn't always work that way. Dana was watching the sky. She'd been doing it since they turned around, maybe trying to find something normal to anchor herself to. The stars were out in force. The Sierra foothills give you a sky like that when the moon is down. Brilliant and enormous. She had been looking at one in particular that was a blazing bright white dancing with blue, red, and green. It was beautiful. She watched it stay in the same spot in the sky for a good 15 to 20 minutes when it suddenly got very bright, growing in size before shrinking back down to its former luminosity and then taking off like it had been slingshot into space. And it disappeared.
Oh my God, did you see that?
Dana asked. Ray nodded slowly. He was at a complete loss for words, no grounded logical explanation this time. They turned onto their street. Home. The grid of suburb. Familiar. Safe. Lit by the row of streetlights that lined their side of the block. 5 of them, spaced evenly, burning their quiet sodium orange glow the way they always did. As the truck rolled past the first light, it brightened. Not a flicker, not a surge. A slow, deliberate climb in intensity, like something pouring more power into it. By the time they were beneath it, it was blazing. Then the second one did the same thing. Then the third. Dana grabbed Ray's arm. 4. 5. One after another, each light swelling as they passed beneath it, each one burning hotter and whiter and wrong. Like something was marking their passage, like something had followed them down out of the mountains and was lighting their way home. Their neighbor's driveway light, always on every night, a little motion sensor fixture mounted above the garage, was on when they turned into their driveway. It brightened as they pulled in, and kept brightening, and kept brightening. And then it went out. Not a flicker, not a fade. Ray put the truck in park. They sat in the dark for a moment without speaking. Neither Ray nor Dana is the type to use the word paranormal. They're practical people. They live at the edge of a mountain range, and they understand that the wilderness is not curated for human comfort. Animals do strange things. Trucks break down. Electrical grids do what electrical grids do. But tonight was different. The intensity of terror Dana and Ray felt from the high strangeness of it all was truly unexplainable. It placed reality as they knew it into question. It was all so impeccably timed and felt so uncomfortably personal. Ray still thinks about the bolt, the way it looked, how clean it was. Dana still thinks about the pause between those two strikes on the truck, the deliberateness of it, the patience in it. And they both still think about the fawn, the eyes set forward in the skull, the total absence of fear, the way it watched them pass and didn't run, as if it had no reason to. As if it wasn't the one that was in danger that night. Dog Valley is still up there, the roads still branch into the trees, and on a clear Friday night in the Sierra foothills, the stars are out in numbers that make you feel very small. As for Dana and Ray, they waited a long time before they would go up there again, but only during the day, not at night. They won't venture into the Sierra Mountains after dark ever again. You have just listened to High Strangeness in the Sierra Mountains. Thank you for sticking with us, and if you like our story, then hit the like and subscribe for more short, startling accounts of high strangeness. This is High Strangeness Archives. Until next week, friends. Good night. If you have an account of high strangeness, please tell us we don't embellish. Email us at the address listed in the description.